Hello, Sarah of SDK Handmade here, and today I am so excited to share with you the Hatcher collection. Before I go into all of the details of this pattern, I want to tease you to hang around until the end. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to share with you some fun ways to wear your Hatcher hat and cowl, and I'm going to share an extra special little discount code. All right, let's dive right in and talk about the inspiration for the Hatcher collection. Shortly after I learned to crochet, one of the first more kind of advanced stitches I ever learned was post stitches. They are so much fun to work. They're particularly great for people who are maybe more towards the beginner end of the spectrum, and they can be worked up in so many different ways. There are quite a few kind of really classic post stitch configurations. For my tier 1 pattern, I did the very classic basket stitch pattern. The texture looks like it's kind of woven just like a basket, which is so much fun. This stitch pattern is great for somebody who's taking their first little toe dip into post stitches, and the cozy pattern, of course, is a great place to start. As the tier 1 pattern, it has lots of tutorials, video and photo tutorials, and it's a great little project to work again and again to really perfect your technique. After I had finished the fun and simple project of the Hatcher Cozy, I of course moved on to the cowl. When I started thinking about what textures I wanted to use in the cowl and the hat, I knew I wanted it to be a little bit out of the box. I also knew that the hat pattern was what I was going to be offering this year for the Crochet Cancer Challenge. The Crochet Cancer Challenge is an amazing event hosted every year in October by Christine of Sweet Potato 3. It's a blog hop that lasts throughout the whole month of October, where designers offer up free hat patterns, and then crocheters who download the free hat patterns pledge to make at least one of those hats for a charity of their choice. Whenever I plan my hat for the Crochet Cancer Challenge, I always am looking to do several things. One, it needs to be a hat that works up quickly, because that's just really perfect for donation. 2, I want it to be interesting. No boring hats here for donation. I want them to really pop. And 3, generally speaking, I try to lean more unisex with my hats. I've actually done quite a bit over my lifetime with donations both to the American Cancer Society and to some specific local charities. And what I've found is that those places are often filled with lots of donations of women's hats or feminine hats, but they're often lacking in hats for men. And since men get cancer and fall on hard times too, I try to offer a pattern that could be used for men or women or even non-binary people. So as I thought on all of those things, I thought back to my Harper scarf. That's the scarf that I offered for local yarn shop day in April, and I thought, you know what? It needs a whole set of patterns. I knew I didn't want it to be an identical fabric to the scarf, but something similar that could really mix up the post stitches, make them look super interesting and unique without being super complicated. I swatched several variations of this and landed on this really gorgeous fabric. You guys, it is just such a stunning texture. It's really neat. I think in these colors, it almost looks a little bit like mushrooms, which is super cute. And the other fun thing is, if you weave in your ends really carefully, it's a totally reversible fabric. And I find that depending on which side you show, it kind of changes the whole look of the texture, which is so much fun. So for my tier 2 pattern, I dove right into making a cowl. I would love to say, because cowls should be simple, that this worked up super fast, but I had my heart set on a different style of cowl, and I ran out of yarn. We'll talk about this glorious yarn in a bit, but this was a collaboration with a yarn dyer, and I didn't have enough, and I wasn't gonna ask for more because she was already very generous with me. So I switched to my classic cowl. I've got this taller variation with no ribbing, and then this shorter variation that has ribbing on the top and the bottom. Very classic, both very easy to wear and both really showed off this texture, which was so fun. After my cowls were complete, I had to top it all off literally with hats, and I was so excited how this stitch pattern worked up in hats. As always, my hat pattern includes 4 variations. We have a brimless and a brimmed version, and both come with a slouchy and a fitted variety to them. And as with all of my hats, there's a nice fitted shaped top, no scrunching a bunch of fabric at the top here. It's got a nice shape, so it will wear really nicely on your head. You don't have to put a pom-pom on the top of this. Of course you can if you'd like to. All right, let's talk about all of this stunning yarn. Starting off with my cozies, I grabbed some scrap yarn from my stash that I had used with other projects. These cozies are perfect for that. My first yarn is, of course, my ever go-to Malabrigo yarn. This colorway is magenta, and this is Rios, so a worsted weight yarn. And it is 100% superwash merino, 210 yards per 100 gram skein. This yarn was a fun little leftover from my mom's stash. It is Super Merino by Art Yarns. This is the colorway Green 13H. Not real familiar with how they label their colorways, so hopefully if you desire this yarn, that gets you there. It's got a real pretty subtle semi-solid tonal to it. It is also 100% merino wool and 108 yards per 100 grams. All right, I'm so excited to tell you about the specialness of the yarns that I used for my cowl and my hat. I had a yarn dyer reach out to me and ask if I would be interested in using her yarn for a project of mine, which is always like such an honor and so exciting. Whenever someone wants me to use their yarn in one of my patterns, I just feel so special. So Sadie of Rose and Roses Fiber and I talked a little bit about what our collaboration could look like, what yarns I needed for upcoming projects, and what she had available for me to use, and this is what we came up with. She offered me some of her punk worsted base, and she dyed up these coordinating colorways just for me, and they are so special. You guys, the blue shade is called Meadow and the orange is called Bonfire. I have to confess, I'm generally not an orange person, and when I opened the package, I was a little like, okay. But boy, has this color grown on me. It is just so gorgeous, and look at the depth of color there, how it just really subtly changes. It is just so stinking stunning. Punk worsted only has 180 yards per 100 grams, but I found it to be a really comparable yarn to Malabrigo Rios. It is not as heavy a yarn or as thick a yarn as that yardage might kind of indicate. You guys know I will always be honest with you, and honestly, I cannot say enough good things about this yarn. It is so stunning from the way that it is dyed up, the color variation, the gorgeous speckles on the Meadow colorway that coordinate perfectly with the Bonfire colorway. They are such a great match. And as you heard, the journey to the cowl was not a straight road, and there was quite a bit of frogging involved, and this has really stood up well to both wear and frogging. While this yarn is not the softest yarn I've ever worked with, I actually find that to be a real benefit to this yarn. It has really nice texture to the worked up yarn. It's not super slick, which actually I think makes working with it easier than yarns that are super slick. They can slide off your hook a lot more easily, and this was really just a pleasure to work with. I also personally find that yarns that are super soft tend to fuzz out and not hold up to wear quite as well. So I think this yarn is the perfect balance between softness, I can wear right next to my skin with no issues, and durability. All right, let's talk hooks. For the cup cozies, I wanted a really nice dense fabric so that it does really protect your hands when you're putting it on an actual cup of hot coffee. So for the cup cozies, you're going to need a US H8 or a 5mm hook. For the cowl and the hat, on the other hand, I wanted to make sure that we got nice squish and good drape. I didn't want the fabric to be too stiff. So I went ahead and bumped the hook size up to an I9 or a 5.5mm hook. Moving right on to customization. The Cup Cozy has a 3-stitch repeat, which you can change to either increase or decrease the height of your coffee cozy. Then it is worked flat and seamed, so you can go ahead and work it as long or as short as you need to make it perfect for your coffee cup. As stated in the pattern, I do always recommend a little negative ease on your coffee cozies so that they don't just slip right off when you put them on your coffee cup. The cowl and the hat are a 6-stitch repeat, so that does give a more dramatic change in size. The great news is there's lots of mix and match and all sorts of tips and tricks to help you customize your cowl and your hat for the perfect fit. You, of course, will get all of those included in the pattern when you purchase. I cannot talk customization though without talking about the many color customizations for the cowl and the hat. You could go completely bonkers with all sorts of custom color work. You could do color blocking, mixing up the cowl or the hat, changing both the main color and the contrasting color, or you could just change the contrasting color or just change the main color. Either would be absolutely gorgeous. As inspiration, I must share with you this tester photo. Can you even believe how stunning that hat is? It has taken everything inside of me not to drop all of my projects and just copy that hat because it is so much fun. So I really encourage you to stash dive, mix it up, try some fun color combinations, change colors often, and really make your hat or cowl or even your cozy perfect for you. Let's talk styling and let's start with the cowl. I really love this shorter, wider cowl. It is super easy to wear. You can simply just throw it over your head and look at how much space I have around my neck. That makes it not as hot to wear on days where maybe you're kind of transitioning and you don't need so much closeness right up next to your neck. You can either grab it and lay the bottom ribbing down a little bit and have it nice and tall on your neck. Or if you're looking for even a little more space, I like to take the bottom ribbing, kind of fold it in. That extra fabric on the inside really gives it some good structure and makes it stand up and away from your neck and allows some airflow for when you're a little warmer. As I said before, another really fun thing about this fabric is that it's reversible. So if you weave your ends in carefully, you can flip it right side out or inside out. I mean, there isn't really an inside out because both sides are beautiful. You can either choose which one you like best, or some days you can wear it one way and some days you can wear it the other way. When it gets a little more chilly out, these tall cowls are always an easy go-to for me. This fabric is extra thick and cozy. I can't even find my seam here, which I guess is awesome. So I'm just gonna throw it on. You can, if you need to be really warm and cozy, really pull it up around your neck. Maybe you could even do, oh, it's a little short in the back. But you could even do kind of a hooded, if you had a jacket on that had a collar that would cover the back of your neck. You could have it up and it would be super cozy around your head. Or you can pull it down and still have it like almost all the way up over your ears to keep you nice and warm. If you don't need it to be that tall, you can fold the bottom to the inside and end up with a nice, sturdy, thick fabric that'll keep you really nice and warm. But because this has a reversible fabric, one of my favorite things to do is to put it on, fold this bottom, kind of lay it out like that, and then take the top and fold it down almost like a little turtleneck. You can go as long or as short as you want to. Keep it up nice and tall. You could bring the front down even more. It gives a nice little layering in there, which really adds some interest. Or you could even take one side and pull it down just a little. Take the other side and pull it down a lot, and it gives you almost like the look of a Mobius cowl without a Mobius cowl. All right, let's talk styling your hats. Keep in mind, your hats, just like your cowls, if you weave your ends in carefully, can be reversible. So you can choose which side you show off. With the brimmed hat, I really like to just sit it on the top of my head, get my brim where I want it, which is usually, you know, just covering my ears. I have a smaller head. So if I've got extra fabric up here at the back, I like to kind of squish it down at my neck. It both keeps my neck warm and allows the hat to fit nicely at the top of my head without that extra bulk. But one of the great things about either making the brimmed slouchy hat or having a tiny head like me is that you can go ahead and pull the whole hat down forward and then fold your brim up so that you have a little double brim and a nicely fitted top. I love a brimless hat. There are just so many ways to wear it. Starting off simple, I simply put it on my head. This guy is pretty slouchy on me, and so I can again scrunch it down in the back so that all of the extra fabric is down low instead of just like sticking out like a cone head. And then again, since this fabric is reversible, I can go ahead and pull it down over my head, fold up the brim as much or as little as I would like, making this like a super flexible fit, whether you make it for a kid who's going to grow into it and maybe fold up a long brim while they're little and then slowly pull it down, or even put it just to a brimless hat as they grow, or just allow you some extra warmth in the winter. This is a really thick fabric, so doubling it up like that is just gonna be so cozy. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this is gonna work, but I wanna try my asymmetrical hat style here and see if it works with this really thick fabric. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my hat, I'm gonna pull it just to the top of my ear on one side, and then I'm gonna pull it nice and low on the other side. Then I'm going to start right here at my forehead and roll up a short brim on this side, rolling it around and then making the brim thicker and thicker as I get around to the other side. So I've got my hat kind of off to the side, and I've got a thin little brim on this side and a much thicker brim on this side. I think it kind of works. Maybe lends itself a little better on a thinner hat, but still unique and fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed learning about the Hatcher collection as much as you love making it. As a little thank you for sticking around to the end, I do have that special discount code for you. If you would like to purchase one of the Hatcher patterns, the hat, the cowl, or the cozy, you can use the code TEXTURE20 on Ravelry or Etsy to save 20%. If you need more than one or all of the Hatcher patterns, go ahead and use the coupon code COZY25 to save 25% off 2 or 3 of the Hatcher patterns. These coupon codes are good October 14th through the 18th, 2024, so go grab them fast. Thank you so much for joining me today. I do want to encourage you to check out Christine of Sweet Potato 3 and her Crochet Cancer Challenge. No matter what time of the year it is, sign up for her email so that you'll get notified next year when the event happens if you missed it this year. Otherwise, it goes all through the month, so dive right in and start making some hats for charity. Thank you again for joining me today, and happy crafting!